Side Hustle, From Idea to Income in 27 Days by Chris Guillebeau. Picture this. There's a guy in Britain running a hectic construction company. When he finally gets a moment to breathe, he indulges in his quirky passion, fish tanks. One lazy weekend, just for kicks, he writes up a few reviews of his favorite tanks and tosses them onto a basic website he threw together. At the bottom of each review, he drops a little Amazon link where people could actually buy the tanks. He figures he might make a few bucks here and there, but honestly, with his crazy work schedule, he completely forgets about the whole thing. A few weeks pass. Then a check shows up in his mailbox. He tears it open, totally confused, and his jaw drops when he sees it's for over $300. His first thought? This has to be some kind of mistake. His partner definitely thinks so too. But the money's legit, and just to prove it wasn't a dream, he takes her out for an incredible dinner, paid for entirely by those forgotten fish tank reviews. But here's where it gets really interesting. That tiny project, whipped up in a single weekend, kept generating hundreds of dollars month after month. Years later, those same reviews, without him lifting another finger, were still pulling in an average of $700 every single month. Not enough to buy a yacht, sure, but way more than pocket change. It was a genuine taste of freedom. That simple, totally true story perfectly captures what we're diving into today. It's the beating heart of Chris Guillebeau's powerful book called Side Hustle, From Idea to Income in 27 Days. This isn't one of those business books drowning in complicated theories and jargon. This is a practical, step-by-step roadmap for anyone who's ever wondered if there's a way to make more money without abandoning their job, drowning in debt, or needing some fancy degree. Chris Guillebeau himself is pretty fascinating. He's been a lifelong entrepreneur, a hustler in the absolute best sense of that word. And before hitting 35, he managed to visit every single country on the planet. He truly gets what it means to build a life on your own terms. He wrote this book because he's convinced of a simple but profound truth. Everyone should have more than one source of income, not just for the extra cash, but for the security, the confidence, and the choices it creates. So what if I told you that in less than a month from today, you could have your own fresh source of income? Something you built yourself, using skills you already have, that brings in actual money. That's not just some vague fantasy. It's a concrete, achievable plan. And by the time we're done here today, you'll have the complete blueprint to make it happen. So let's jump in. Let's kick things off with a foundational idea that might sound a bit odd at first. You've probably heard people say, money doesn't grow on trees. It's what parents tell their kids when they're begging for every toy in the store. Well, Chris Guillebeau suggests those parents are only half right. Money actually does grow on trees. You just need to know how to plant the right seeds in the right soil. A side hustle is your money tree. It's a project you launch on the side, a way to create an additional income stream, while you still have the safety net of your day job or while you're grinding through school. In today's world, where the idea of a company being loyal to its employees has pretty much vanished, a side hustle is the new job security. It gives you options. It gives you freedom. When you have money flowing in from multiple sources, you're no longer completely dependent on a single boss or a single paycheck. More income equals more options, and more options equals more freedom. Now I can practically hear your thoughts racing. You're probably thinking, this sounds amazing, but I don't have a pile of money to start a business. I barely have time to sleep, and I definitely don't have a business degree. This is where the beauty of the side hustle really shines. You don't need any of those things. The entire process laid out in this book is specifically designed for people who are busy and impatient. It doesn't require a massive investment. In fact, most of the success stories you'll hear about started with less than $100, and some with literally $0. You don't need tons of time either. The plan is built around spending about an hour a day, and you absolutely positively do not need an MBA. Your financial projections can be scribbled on the back of a napkin. The only things you truly need are a willingness to learn and a willingness to take action. So where do you even begin? Every side hustle, every money tree, starts with a single seed, an idea. And here's the cool part. Ideas are literally everywhere. They're all around you, hiding in plain sight. Think about your daily routine. The author asks us to imagine taking a drive down your street. Look around carefully. What do you see? You see cars everywhere. Those people need to get places. That's an idea. You could drive for a rideshare service. You see people walking dogs, hauling dry cleaning. That's another idea. You could run errands for busy people. You see a massive line snaking out of a coffee shop. Yet another idea. You could deliver coffee to office buildings that don't have a decent cafe nearby. These are what the book calls starter ideas. They're solid, but we can dig deeper. A California web developer named Steven Peterson was stuck in traffic one day, just like tens of thousands of other frustrated commuters. He realized there was no single, user-friendly resource that combined all the real-time traffic and public transit information. So he, being a web developer, built it himself. That idea, born from his own personal frustration, now earns him more than $7,500 a month. He spotted a problem and used a skill he already possessed to solve it. This brings us to a crucial lesson. Not all ideas are created equal. Some have the potential to grow into mighty oaks, while others will barely sprout at all. The best ideas, the ones with the highest potential for success, share three key qualities. They are feasible, profitable, and persuasive. Let's unpack that. Feasible means you can actually pull it off. You can get it started in a short period of time with the skills and resources you already have access to. If your idea requires 3 years and $1 million just to launch, it's not a feasible side hustle. Profitable means there's a clear, obvious way to get paid. Remember, a side hustle is not a hobby. Hobbies drain your wallet. Side hustles fill it. And persuasive means it's the right idea for right now. It solves a problem or fulfills a desire so effectively that it's genuinely hard for people to say no. Let's look at Julia Kelly's story. She's a graphic designer in San Diego who took a summer job drawing caricatures at an amusement park for minimum wage. The park had this terrifying rule. She had to draw directly with permanent marker. No pencils allowed, no erasing mistakes. It was basically trial by fire, but it made her incredibly skilled and confident. The problem? She was making almost nothing. So she decided to launch her own side hustle. She started pitching her services to local schools for their events. Pretty quickly, she was charging $100 an hour, a massive jump from her amusement park wages. But she didn't stop there. She saw an opportunity to make her idea even better. She learned how to draw digital caricatures on a tablet computer. This was fresh. It had serious wow factor, and the perceived value of her service absolutely skyrocketed. She started charging $250 an hour for corporate events. Think about that evolution. The first version of her idea paid $8 an hour. The second paid $100. And the third paid a staggering $250. Same skill, same time commitment, but a dramatically better idea. It was feasible, highly profitable, and because it was unique, incredibly persuasive. That's the kind of strategic thinking you need to develop. Once you start actively looking for ideas, you'll discover you have too many, not too few. So how do you pick the best one? Chris Guillebeau offers this brilliant tool he calls the Side Hustle Selector. Think of it like Tinder for your business ideas. You quickly evaluate each one based on a few key factors. You rank each idea high, medium, or low on 5 essential qualities. 1. Feasibility. Can you do it easily? 2. Profit potential. Can it generate good money? 3. Persuasion. Is it a great idea for right now? 4. Efficiency. How quickly can you execute it? 5. Motivation. How genuinely excited are you about it? Let's imagine Meredith, a teacher who uses this special method called Waldorf education. A huge part of her job involves creating her own lesson plans from scratch, which devours enormous amounts of time. She noticed that other teachers and homeschooling parents really struggled with this too. She had an idea to help them. She considered a few different approaches: one-on-one coaching, live workshops, or creating curriculum guides they could purchase online. If she ran these ideas through the side hustle selector, a clear winner would emerge. Coaching isn't very efficient or profitable because she can only help one person at a time. A workshop is slightly better, but still pretty limited. But the curriculum guides? The profit potential is huge because she can sell them to thousands of people. Once they're created, the work is mostly done, making it highly efficient. And it's very feasible for her to create them. The curriculum guides were the obvious winner. By using a simple framework, she could confidently choose the idea with the highest chance of success. Now, once you've selected your best idea, the next step is one of the most important in the entire book. It's about shifting your focus from your idea to the actual person who will pay for it. You need to find your ideal customer. There's this fantastic story about a guy named John Lee Dumas who started a podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire. Initially, his audience was super broad. He wanted to help everyone, but his show wasn't really taking off. He felt he needed to sharpen his focus dramatically. So he sat down and created an avatar, an imaginary profile of his one single ideal listener. He named him Jimmy. John wrote pages and pages about Jimmy. Jimmy was 34 years old, married with 2 kids. He drove 27 minutes to a job he didn't love, working in a soul-crushing cubicle. He felt trapped and desperately dreamed of starting his own business, but he didn't know how, and he felt completely alone. From that day forward, John Lee Dumas made every single podcast episode specifically for Jimmy. He wasn't talking to millions of people anymore. He was talking to one person, and something amazing happened. By focusing all his energy on serving that one person perfectly, his podcast absolutely exploded. It now gets downloaded tens of thousands of times per episode. He calls this principle, start with one. When you try to be everything for everyone, you end up being nothing for no one. But when you get crystal clear on who your one ideal customer is, their hopes, their fears, their deepest problems, you can create something that feels like it was custom made just for them. And that is incredibly powerful. With your idea chosen and your ideal customer clearly in mind, it's time to transform that idea into an offer. An idea is just a thought floating around. An offer is something tangible that someone can actually buy. A complete offer, the book explains, has 3 essential parts: a promise, a pitch, and a price. The promise is how your hustle will genuinely change someone's life. The pitch is why they should buy it right now. And the price is what it costs. Let's go back to Jake Posco's story. He was a musician who decided to offer guitar lessons on the side. Now, guitar lessons is not really an offer. It's boring and generic. There are literally thousands of people offering guitar lessons. Jake knew he had to stand out dramatically. So in his first ad, he made a bold, unforgettable promise. The headline read, "The most awesome guitar lessons in the universe." That grabs your attention, right? It's funny, it's confident, it's totally memorable. The rest of his ad, his pitch, was targeted directly at his ideal customer, busy people who didn't have a lot of time. He promised to make it fun and super efficient. By crafting a compelling offer, he went from earning a little extra cash to making $80 an hour. Eventually, his side hustle was making so much money that he quit his day job entirely. It all started by transforming a generic idea into an irresistible offer. And the final piece of this puzzle is wrapping your offer in a compelling origin story. People don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Think about Corala Cashmere, the business started by David and Praj. The simple story is that they import cashmere shawls from Nepal to sell in Canada. That's factually correct, but it's kind of boring. The real story is so much richer and more engaging. David, a Canadian, met and fell in love with Praj, who's from Nepal. They traveled to her homeland for a traditional wedding. While there, David was completely captivated by the local craftsmanship. They met with dozens of suppliers and eventually found a partner who shared their values. From the very beginning, they decided to give 5% of their profits back to help support the education of children in the mountain communities where the cashmere comes from. Now, which business would you rather buy from? The story gives the product real meaning. It creates an authentic connection. Your side hustle needs a story too. It doesn't have to be as dramatic as falling in love in Amsterdam, but there is a why behind what you're doing. What problem frustrated you? What passion lit you up? That story is what makes your hustle uniquely yours. Okay, you have your idea, you know your customer inside and out, you've crafted your offer, and you've discovered your story. Now it's time to prepare for liftoff. This is where tons of people get completely stuck. They get bogged down in tedious details, business licenses, taxes, complicated bookkeeping software. These things are important eventually, but they are not the most important things right now. The author has this wonderful phrase for this mindset, borrowed from a friend. Everything is figure-outable. The story of Sarah Hannington and her custom candy hearts is a masterclass in this principle. She wanted to buy custom-printed candy hearts for her marketing job, but she couldn't find anyone who sold them. She eventually tracked down a manufacturer, but their website was terrible, and their sales representative was completely unenthusiastic. As a marketer, she immediately saw a massive opportunity. She quickly built a simple website and started advertising the custom hearts herself at a higher price. She would just act as a middleman. Orders started flooding in like crazy. But then disaster struck. The manufacturer couldn't keep up with demand and told her they couldn't fulfill all the orders. She had a proven idea, but an unreliable partner. So what did she do? She decided to figure out how to make the candy hearts herself. She knew absolutely nothing about candy production. Her first attempt to buy a machine from China was a complete failure. It arrived broken. Undeterred, she invested all the money she had made that year into a custom-made machine from another company. It was a huge, risky gamble. But it worked. She figured it out. She didn't let what she didn't know stop her from moving forward. That kind of resourcefulness is your most valuable skill as a hustler. As you prepare to launch, you'll need to create a workflow. This is just a simple map of what happens from the moment a customer first hears about you to the moment they receive what they paid for. Think about Amanda, the woman who ran a recipe blog for a special diet. At first, it was just a fun hobby, but she did one very smart thing. She put a simple form on her site, inviting people to join her email list. Her workflow was dead simple. A visitor reads a recipe, they see the invitation, they sign up. That's it. But by doing this one thing consistently, she turned casual readers into a dedicated audience. When she finally decided to sell a cookbook, she made $1,000 on the very first day just by sending one email to that list. A simple workflow laid the foundation for a genuinely profitable business. Now we come to the most exciting part, the moment of truth. Day 17, publish your offer. The book has this recurring mantra, launch before you're ready. Perfectionism is the absolute enemy of a side hustle. If you wait until everything is perfect, you will literally never start. Remember Steven Peterson, the developer who created the traffic app Routzy? The week before Apple's deadline for launch day apps, he was homesick from work. He decided to hack together a quick version of his app idea. He submitted it, not really expecting it to be accepted. But it was. By his own admission, the first version was pretty terrible. It crashed a lot. The design was ugly. A long list of features he wanted to include were completely missing. But it was out there in the world. And in its very first month, that buggy, ugly app earned him $2,700. Launching early gave him proof that his idea actually worked. It gave him invaluable feedback from real users, and it gave him the motivation and the money to keep making it better and better. Done is better than perfect. Once your offer is out in the world, you need to actually sell it. And the book has this wonderful metaphor for this. Sell like a Girl Scout. Think about it for a second. When you walk past a table of Girl Scouts selling cookies, their pitch is incredibly simple and straightforward. Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? They don't need some manipulative, high-pressure sales tactic. Why not? Because the product is genuinely amazing, and they know exactly who they're selling to. People are happy to buy from them. Your goal is to create something so good for a customer you understand so well that selling it feels natural and helpful, not pushy or gross. You do this by focusing on benefits, not just features. A feature of a drill is that it has a lithium-ion battery. A benefit is that it helps you build the bookshelf you've always wanted. People don't buy a drill because they want a drill sitting in their garage. They buy a drill because they want a hole in their wall. Always lead with how your offer will genuinely make your customer's life better. Of course, you don't have to do all of this alone. One of the most powerful stories in the entire book is about a high school student named Brianna Faith. She was inspired by how wearing bold lipstick helped her gain real self-confidence, and she decided to start a cosmetics business. Through a mentor, she got this incredible opportunity to run a pop-up shop in a vacant retail space for a month over the holidays, completely free of charge. She had almost no costs. She recruited her friends to help run the shop. A local coffee shop owner brought them free cakes every single day. By the end of the month, this teenager had made a profit of over $7,000. Her success came from her hard work, absolutely, but also from her willingness to ask for help. Don't try to be an army of one. Make a list of 10 people, friends, family, teachers, mentors, who can support you, and don't be afraid to actually ask for their help. As your hustle grows, you'll enter the final phase, regrouping and refining. This is where you become a scientist. You test, and test again. Gabby Orcutt, a busy mom with a demanding full-time job, started using Pinterest just for fun. But her entrepreneurial mind spotted an opportunity. She started working with brands to promote their products through her pins. In her first month, she made over $1,000. She got serious about it. She started experimenting with different types of images, different categories, different times of day to post. She paid close attention to the data. What was working? What wasn't? Through constant testing and refining, she grew her Pinterest following to over 1 million people and has earned over $40,000 from it. The data doesn't lie. The core principle here is beautifully simple. Grow what works and let go of what doesn't. Ana Ramirez, a photographer, tried selling her art on several different websites. Some were huge stock photo sites, where her work got completely lost in a sea of millions of images. Others were smaller print-on-demand sites that didn't get much traffic at all. Neither approach was working very well. But she kept trying different things. Then one day, she got an unexpected email from Pottery Barn. They had discovered her work and wanted to license it. That was the winner. By partnering with a major brand, she got her art in front of a massive audience. She didn't waste her energy trying to fix the platforms that weren't working. She focused all her attention on the opportunity that was actually producing results. And finally, as you find success, you can start to look for money lying under a rock. This just means finding easy ways to expand on what's already working beautifully. Trevor Mountcastle started his side hustle as a "acco hacker." He would buy and resell electronics just to earn credit card points for first-class flights around the world. His goal was simply to break even on the products. But as he got better at it, he realized he could often sell the items for a solid profit. The travel hacking hobby slowly transformed into a real business. Soon, he was making a tidy profit, in addition to all the free travel. That side hustle now brings in over $100,000 a year. He saw an opportunity to turn his existing system into something even more profitable. He found the money that was lying right there under a rock. Whether your hustle is something you do for a little extra spending cash, something that grows into a full-time business, or something that simply gives you the confidence to know you can create your own security, the journey itself is the reward. You've come a long way from a simple idea to a real, income-producing asset. The road doesn't end here. In fact, it's really just the beginning. As we wrap up our journey through Side Hustle, it's clear that the most powerful lesson in this book isn't just about making extra money. It's about something much deeper and more meaningful. It's about reclaiming a genuine sense of control over your own life. In a world that can often feel wildly uncertain, where you're constantly waiting for a boss to give you a raise, or a college to accept you, or a company to hire you, the act of creating a side hustle is a declaration of independence. It's proof to the world, but more importantly, to yourself, that you have the real ability to create value out of thin air. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You can start right now, with exactly what you have. For someone your age, standing on the edge of so many big life decisions, this is a genuinely revolutionary idea. It's an education in self-reliance, creativity, and resilience that you simply can't get in a traditional classroom. The process of taking an idea, testing it in the real world, shaping it based on feedback, and turning it into something that another person is actually willing to pay for, builds a kind of deep confidence that will serve you for the rest of your life, no matter what path you eventually choose. It teaches you that failure isn't final or fatal, it's just feedback, and that success isn't some lucky accident, it's the result of a thoughtful process of deliberate action. So how can you put these ideas into practice, starting today? Here are 3 simple actions you can take right now. First, the idea hunt. For the next 7 days, I want you to become a detective of daily life. Carry a small notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Everywhere you go, at school, in your neighborhood, scrolling online, actively look for problems, frustrations, and desires. Ask yourself constantly, what do people here need? What's inefficient or annoying? What could be better? Write down at least 3 potential ideas each day. Don't judge them. Don't worry if they seem silly or small. The goal is simply to train your brain to see the opportunities that are literally all around you. Second, the back of the napkin test. At the end of the week, pick your absolute favorite idea from your list. Now grab a literal napkin or a scrap piece of paper. On one side, write down your best guess for how much you could charge for it. Let's say it's $15. On the other side, write down your best guess for what it would cost you to create it. Maybe it's $5. Is there a gap between those 2 numbers? This super simple exercise takes the abstract concept of profit and makes it real and tangible. It's the first genuine step to thinking like a hustler. And third, the 10-person ask. Think of one small thing you would need to do to move that idea forward. Just one single step. Maybe it's getting honest feedback on the idea itself. Maybe it's learning a specific skill from a YouTube tutorial. Maybe it's finding a place to buy a certain material. Now make a list of 10 people you know, friends, family, a favorite teacher, a neighbor, who might be able to help you with that one small step. You don't have to ask them all right away. But the simple act of writing down that list transforms a lonely dream into a supported mission. It shows you that you're not alone in this, and the path forward is way more achievable than you might think. A side hustle is more than just a way to make extra cash. It's a playground for your curiosity. It's a laboratory for your ideas. And it's a vehicle for your ambition. It's a game you can play where the prize isn't just money, but a stronger, more capable, and more genuinely free version of yourself. That was a summary of Side Hustle, From Idea to Income in 27 Days by Chris Guillebeau. We've covered the core framework today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real adventure happens when you decide to take the journey yourself. The true magic of a book like this is in those quiet moments when a particular story or a simple phrase connects with you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your precious time. If anything we've talked about today has sparked a fire in you, if it's made you lean in just a little bit closer, then I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can authentically change how you see your own potential. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it's given you some real food for thought, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the world's most successful people. Let's keep learning and growing together.